Something strange is happening around you, and deep down, you already feel it. People don't look at you the same way anymore. At first it's subtle, just a second glance, a pause in their expression, a moment where they seem confused but can't explain why. Then it becomes more obvious. They start saying things like, "You look different," or "Something about you has changed." But what they really can't understand is this. It's not just your appearance. It's your age perception, your presence, your energy. Some people think you look younger. Others feel like you've matured overnight. And the strangest part? No one agrees on what exactly changed. So, what is really happening to you? Why do people hesitate when they look at you, as if they're trying to recognize someone they already knew, but somehow can't place anymore? There's something about your transformation that doesn't follow normal logic. It feels deeper, invisible, almost like something inside you has shifted, and the outside world is simply reacting to it without understanding why. And if you've been noticing this too, you're not imagining it. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your looks and your age seem to be leaving people speechless, and what it truly means for you. At first, it didn't happen all at once. It started in the smallest, most unnoticeable ways. Someone you know casually looks at you a little longer than usual. Not in a normal way, but like they're trying to remember something that's right on the edge of their mind. Then they finally say it. You look different, but they don't even finish the thought. They stop there, as if they can't find the right words to explain what they mean. And that's where it begins. You start hearing subtle comments from different people in different places. One person says you look younger. Another insists you look more mature. Someone else just laughs awkwardly and says, "I don't know what changed, but something definitely changed about you." What's strange is not just what they say, it's how uncertain they are when they say it. Even people who see you regularly start acting slightly different around you. There's a pause before they speak, a moment where they seem to scan you with their eyes, like they're trying to detect what's new. But nothing obvious stands out, no dramatic change, no clear explanation. Yet still, they feel it. And you feel it too. You begin to notice that your presence seems to affect the atmosphere around you. Conversations shift slightly when you enter a room. Some people become more attentive without realizing it. Others seem momentarily distracted, like their focus is pulled toward you without permission. It creates confusion inside you as well. You start asking yourself, did something actually change, or are people just imagining it? But the reactions keep repeating. Different faces, different places, same uncertain energy. And the deeper you observe it, the clearer one thing becomes. This isn't just about how you look, it's about how you are being perceived now. Something about you has shifted in a way that people can feel before they can understand. And no one, not even you, can fully explain it yet. Before versus now contrast. There was a time when you could walk into a room and feel almost invisible. Not ignored in an obvious way, but quietly overlooked. People would speak over you, pass by you, or fail to fully notice your presence unless you directly engaged them. You weren't lacking value, you were just in a phase where your energy didn't demand attention yet. Back then, you might have been underestimated, not because of who you truly are, but because of how little of yourself you were showing. You were still becoming, still learning, still carrying parts of yourself that hadn't fully awakened yet. And now, something is different. It's not that you are trying to be seen more, it's that you simply are. Your presence now feels harder to ignore. People notice you without realizing why. Eyes linger a second longer. Conversations subtly adjust when you're around. Even silence behaves differently when you enter a space, as if your energy fills it without effort. What changed isn't just how you look, it's how you carry yourself. There is a quiet confidence in you now that didn't exist before. Not loud, not forced, but stable, grounded, certain. And people feel that certainty before they even understand it. The most interesting part is that your transformation didn't happen overnight. It was built through experiences no one else fully saw. Moments of reflection, times you had to rely on yourself. Situations that forced you to grow emotionally, even when it felt uncomfortable. That emotional growth is the hidden cause behind everything people are now noticing. You became more aware of yourself, more aligned, more intentional with your energy. And without realizing it, you started shedding the version of you that no longer matched who you were becoming. So when people say, "You've changed," they are only noticing the surface. Because the truth is deeper than that. You didn't just change your appearance. You didn't just improve your confidence. You didn't just grow older in the way people think of age. You evolved. And that evolution is exactly what people are reacting to now, even if they can't explain it. Transformation nobody saw. What people are reacting to now is not something that appeared suddenly. It was built in silence. There was a phase of your life where things felt different internally, even if nothing looked different externally. You were going through moments that most people never witnessed. Moments where you had to sit with your own thoughts, process your own emotions, and figure out parts of yourself without external validation. It may have looked like nothing was happening from the outside, but on the inside, everything was changing. There were periods of isolation, not always physical but emotional. Times when you felt misunderstood, disconnected, or simply not fully aligned with the people or environments around you. And instead of breaking under that pressure, something in you started to rebuild. Slowly, quietly, strongly. That's where your transformation actually began. You started developing a deeper kind of emotional discipline. Instead of reacting to everything, you began observing. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you started understanding them. Instead of seeking constant validation, you began relying more on your own awareness. This shift didn't happen in one moment. It happened in layers. A conversation you didn't respond to the same way anymore. A situation that once would have hurt you, but now only passed through you. A mindset that slowly stopped accepting what drained you. And while all of this was happening, nobody noticed. To the outside world, you were the same person. Same face, same habits, same presence. But internally, you were becoming someone else entirely. Growth like this is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't ask for attention. It builds in silence until one day, the world suddenly reacts to the result. That is exactly what happened to you. People are only now seeing the outcome of something that took time, effort, and emotional resilience to build. They are reacting to a version of you that has already gone through battles they know nothing about. And that's why it feels so confusing. For them, and sometimes even for you. Because the change they see didn't start when they noticed it. It started long before that. In every unseen moment where you chose to grow instead of stay the same. Reactions of people around you. Now, as you move through your daily life, something has clearly shifted in the way people respond to you. It starts with the stares, not obvious, uncomfortable stares, but quick moments where someone looks at you, looks away, then looks back again as if their brain is trying to confirm what they just saw. A double take, a silent pause, a subtle "wait, is that really you?" Energy that they don't say out loud, but you can feel it. Then the comments begin. "You look younger. Did you do something different? You've changed a lot lately." But what makes it even more interesting is that nobody seems to agree on how you've changed. Some people say your face looks softer, more refreshed, almost like time has moved differently for you. Others say you look more mature, more grounded, more put together than before. And this contradiction only deepens the mystery around you. Because how can one person be perceived in such different ways at the same time? In conversations, people begin to act slightly different around you. Some become more curious, asking indirect questions just to understand what changed in your life. Others become quieter, observing you more than speaking. And some simply admire you without saying much at all, as if they're trying not to break the moment. You may even notice people who haven't seen you in a while reacting the strongest. They stop for a second longer than expected. Their expression shifts between recognition and surprise, like they are reconnecting with a version of you that no longer exists. And through all of this, something inside you also shifts, because being seen differently by others forces you to see yourself differently too. It creates a strange emotional reflection, where you start realizing that the version of you used to identify with is no longer what the world is responding to. There is validation in it, but also confusion. Validation, because it confirms that something positive has changed. Confusion, because it's hard to fully understand what exactly people are reacting to. And in that space between admiration, curiosity, and silence, you begin to feel the impact of your transformation more deeply than ever before. Not just as something personal, but as something that is now being experienced by everyone around you. Envy, misunderstanding, and distance. But not every reaction around you is admiration or curiosity. As your presence becomes more noticeable, you start to feel a different kind of shift in certain people. It's subtle at first, almost unspoken. Some conversations become shorter. Some people who used to be warm suddenly feel more reserved. And others, without any clear reason, begin to create a distance. It's not always obvious. No one directly tells you why. But you can feel the change in energy. And sometimes that silence speaks louder than words. Behind it, there can be many reasons, but one of the most common is something unspoken: comparison. People begin to compare themselves to you without even realizing it. Your change becomes a mirror they didn't ask to look into. And depending on where they are in their own lives, that reflection can create discomfort. Not everyone knows how to process someone else's evolution when they feel stuck in their own place. So instead of expressing admiration, some people withdraw. Instead of asking questions, they become distant. Instead of celebrating your growth, they silently question their own. And that's where misunderstanding begins. Because from your side, nothing about your intention has changed. You are simply becoming more aligned with yourself. But from their perspective, your transformation can feel unfamiliar, even intimidating. They may misinterpret your confidence as arrogance, your calmness as detachment, your growth as separation. And slowly, without conflict or explanation, a quiet distance forms. What makes this even more difficult is that it doesn't always come with hostility. In fact, it often comes with silence, with less communication, with fewer shared moments, with a feeling that something has shifted but no one is willing to name it. And in the middle of all this, you might find yourself in a strange emotional space. Because on one side, people are noticing you more than ever, but on the other side, you feel more alone than expected. That contrast can be confusing. Attention increases, yet emotional closeness decreases. Recognition grows, yet connection weakens in certain areas. But this is often part of a deeper truth. Not everyone is meant to walk with you through every stage of your evolution. Some people can only understand you in the version of you they first met. And when you move beyond that version, they struggle to follow, not because you did something wrong, but because change challenges familiarity. And so, you begin to understand something important. Your growth will not always be universally understood, and your evolution will not always be universally accepted, but it will still be yours. Inner awakening behind change. Behind everything people are noticing on the outside, something much deeper has been unfolding within you. This is not just a physical or visual shift. It is an inner awakening, one that slowly redefines how you think, how you feel, and how you respond to life itself. One of the clearest signs of this awakening is emotional maturity. You no longer react the same way you used to. Situations that once pulled you into stress, confusion, or emotional overwhelm now meet a calmer version of you. Not because life became easier, but because you became more aware. You started seeing things differently, more clearly, more objectively, less driven by impulse and more guided by understanding. And with that emotional maturity came something even more powerful: the release of your old identity. There was a version of you that once carried certain fears, attachments, doubts, and limitations. A version shaped by experiences, environments, and expectations that no longer define who you are becoming. And slowly, without even forcing it, you began letting that version go. Not in a dramatic way, but in quiet decisions, in subtle shifts in behavior, in the way you stopped responding to things that no longer matched your growth, in the way you stopped returning to patterns that drained your energy. This is what real transformation looks like. It is often invisible while it is happening. As this inner shift continued, mental clarity began to strengthen. Your thoughts became less scattered. Your decisions became more intentional. You started recognizing patterns in people, in situations, and even within yourself that you previously overlooked. It became easier to see what aligns with you and what doesn't. Alongside clarity came a new sense of stability. Emotionally, you became harder to shake. Not because challenges disappeared, but because your foundation became stronger. You stopped losing yourself in temporary situations. You stopped allowing external chaos to define your internal state. And naturally, confidence began to rise, but not in a loud or forced way. It was quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need approval. The kind that doesn't need explanation. The kind that simply exists because you now trust yourself more than you trust confusion. All of these changes began to align into something deeper. Inner alignment. A sense that you are no longer living against yourself. You are no longer resisting who you are becoming. Instead, there is a growing harmony between your thoughts, your actions, and your direction in life. And that alignment is exactly what people are feeling when they notice you now. They may describe it as, you look different, or you've changed, or even, you seem older or younger than before. But what they are really sensing is that you are no longer the same internally. You are more grounded, more aware, more complete within yourself. And that inner awakening is the true source of everything they are seeing on the outside. Hidden meaning of transformation. At this stage of your journey, what you are experiencing is no longer just about appearance or simple perception. There is a deeper layer to it, something symbolic, almost invisible, yet strongly felt. One way to understand it is this. Age perception is not always fixed by physical reality alone. It is often influenced by energy, how you carry yourself, how you feel internally, and the emotional state you project without even speaking. That is why people can look at you and disagree on what they see. Some feel you look younger, as if time has softened around you. Others feel you look more mature, as if life has added depth and weight to your presence. What they are actually reacting to is not a single fixed image, but the energy you are emitting in the present moment. Because people don't only see faces, they feel vibrations. Before someone even speaks, before they understand your story, they are already responding to your presence. Your tone, your posture, your emotional stability, your inner calm, all of these create an impression that goes beyond physical features. And when your internal state changes, your external perception changes with it. Another hidden aspect of your transformation is the release of emotional weight from your past. There were experiences, memories, and versions of yourself that once shaped how you moved through the world. But as you grew, you began to let go of what no longer belonged to you emotionally. This release doesn't just affect how you feel internally, it also changes how you are experienced by others. It becomes lighter, clearer, less burdened. And people notice that difference, even if they cannot explain it. This is why, in some cases, you may feel almost unrecognizable to people who knew you before. Not because you became someone else entirely, but because the emotional frequency they once associated with you is no longer there in the same way. You are still you, but not the version they remember. And this is where the deeper identity shift takes place. It is not just about changing habits, confidence, or mindset. It is about stepping into a version of yourself that is no longer defined by old limitations, old emotional patterns, or old perceptions. When that happens, the world around you has to readjust its understanding of you. Some people will adapt quickly, others will struggle, and some will hold on to outdated versions of who you used to be, even while you continue evolving beyond them. But at the core of it all, the transformation is simple to understand. You are no longer resonating at the same internal frequency as before. And that is why everything, your presence, your looks, your perceived age, and your impact on others, feels different now. Warning/guidance for chosen one. With this level of transformation, there is something important you must understand. Not everyone will be able to interpret what is happening to you correctly. Some people will see your change and feel inspired. Others will feel confused, and some may not know how to process it at all. Because when someone grows beyond the version of themselves that others are familiar with, it can create emotional discomfort in those who are still attached to the old version. This is where projection often happens. People may begin to project their own insecurities onto you. What they feel about themselves, they may unknowingly reflect onto your growth. This can come out as misunderstanding, distance, or even misjudged assumptions about who you are becoming. It is important not to internalize that. Your evolution is not a problem to be solved. It is a process to be understood. Another important lesson in this phase is balance. As more people begin to notice you, there may be moments where attention increases. Compliments, curiosity, reactions, these can feel validating. But they can also become distracting if not grounded properly. This is where ego can quietly enter. Not in an obvious way, but in subtle thoughts, feeling superior, overly validated, or dependent on external reactions. If left unchecked, that can disconnect you from the very inner growth that created this transformation in the first place. So grounding becomes essential. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves full access to your personal state of mind. Not every opinion needs to be absorbed. Not every reaction needs to shape how you see yourself. There is power in quiet stability. And finally, stay focused on your path. Because the biggest risk during a transformation like this is not losing people around you. It is losing alignment with yourself by becoming overly distracted by how others perceive you. Let people understand you at their own pace. Some will catch up, some won't. But your responsibility is not to slow down your growth for the sake of being understood. It is to continue becoming the most aligned version of yourself, regardless of external interpretation. Stay centered, stay aware, and keep moving forward with clarity. Everything you've just heard brings one truth into focus. What people are reacting to was never just about your appearance. It was never only about your looks, and it was never only about your age. It was about a deeper transformation that began inside you long before anyone else noticed it. A transformation built in silence, shaped through emotional growth, and revealed slowly through the way the world now responds to your presence. And now, you are seeing the result of that journey reflected back at you through other people's eyes. Some see you and feel like something has changed, but can't explain what it is. Others feel drawn to your presence without understanding why. And some simply recognize that you are no longer the same version they once knew. But the most important part is this: you know you are not the same anymore either. So take a moment and reflect. When was the last time you noticed people reacting differently to you? When did you start feeling that subtle shift in how you are perceived? And more importantly, what has changed within you that might be creating that response? Because this journey is not just something happening to you, it is something happening through you. It is an invitation to become more aware of your growth, more intentional with your energy, and more honest about the version of yourself you are stepping into. And as you move forward, understand this. Not everyone will interpret your transformation the same way, but that does not make it any less real. What matters is that you continue becoming more aligned, more grounded, and more connected to who you truly are, beneath all external perceptions. So I'll leave you with this question. Have you also noticed people reacting differently to you lately, without being able to explain why? And if so, what do you think has changed within you? Because sometimes the world doesn't change first. Sometimes you do. And the world simply reacts. And remember this as you move forward. They see your looks, but feel your energy.